Hello everyone, my name is Carter from Strategy Lab, and welcome to another quick tutorial video. And today I'll be teaching you how to make, edit, and update full-width easy sliders. Now the first thing you generally want to do is visit the page that your slider is on. But in my case, it's a portfolio item, so I'm going to go there. Here are my items, and I'll click on the one I want to edit, my full-width easy slider page. Before we begin editing, let's take a look at what we currently have. Alright, so it's kind of bland. What I'm hoping to do is get a nice big slider coming right across the top of the page. So, let's go back to the page. In the Avia Layout Builder, navigate to the Media Elements tab and locate the Full-Width Easy Slider element. Then simply drag and drop it onto the page. To edit it, we click on the slider and it'll open up the editor. In here, we're faced with a number of options, but the first we have to do is add some images. So we'll click this to add multiple images. Let's take this one and this one. 2 is probably good for now. And for the size, I think we want it to be sort of a half page, so featured by default, this should be good. If you want it to be a full page, maybe go with this one, and then it'll take up most of the screen. The slider minimum height in pixel, generally it's for smaller screens. To prevent the slider from becoming too small, we should put in a minimum height of something around 400. That way, on phones, it won't shrink up to be quite thin. This is fine. We should leave the image with the ability to stretch so that there's no black bars on the side or the bottom. Slide sidewards is good. Always load videos is good. Auto rotation active, this is whether it will change on its own or whether you need to use the navigation to swap the images. We should leave it as yes, generally. Don't check this because it'll just stop if you do after it reaches the last slide. And this is how many seconds it takes before one slide becomes the next. I'll leave it at 5. Finally, slideshow control styling. Usually you want to go with default. If you have a lot of very dark images, go with minimal white. If you have a lot of very light images, go with minimal black. And if you don't want the user to be able to control the slideshow movement, leave it on hidden, but default is good. Now let's take a look at what we've got. So we'll click Save to make sure our changes are saved, and then click Preview Changes. And on screen now, there's my half-page easy slider. And every 5 seconds, if I leave it on its own, it'll rotate. And that's pretty nice. I like that quite a bit, but I would like to have some text displayed over these images. Wouldn't you agree? So we'll click on our full-width easy slider and click on one of the slides, probably the first one. In here, we go to the caption tab and enter a title. So there's our title, and we can take some content. This is probably good right here. We'll copy that and paste that right in here. For the size, maybe for the header, I want 40. You can leave it as default and see if you like that, but I like to have it custom. 20 for caption and 40 for title. Probably good. So caption positioning, this is pretty important. This is where your caption will appear on the screen. And framing, we'll put a sort of semi-transparent box, a black box around the text, which I generally quite like. So I'm going to do left framed. And if you want to have a button on your slide, you can just click attach one button, or you can have 2 as well. For the label, that's just the text that will appear on the button. So let's go, we can leave it as click me. And then we can select the color of the button. For my purposes, I like light transparent, but if you choose theme color, it will generally match a lot of the other elements on your website, so that's a pretty good bet as well. And then the link, if you want to set it to go to another page on your site, click page, and then select one of these pages. You can also set it manually, and you have to leave the HTTP:// in there, otherwise it won't work properly. And maybe I'll make it say don't click me. Next is colors. You really don't need to worry about that. The text will be white by default usually, and that's quite good if you've got the background On slide overlay, this is if you want to have sort of a color overlay partially over the images in the slide. So I'm going to put the opacity at 3 and make the color black. And that will put sort of a dark overlay over the slider. And that's all right, so I'll click save on that. Let's click save again and preview our changes. As you can see, it's sliding and rotating on its own. On this slide, we've got our title, our description, and our little button, which does nothing. And as you can see, this background has some overlay on it. It's a little bit darker, and I quite like that. But you'll notice when I go to the next slide, that text is gone. And maybe you want to put different text, different button, a different description on the next slide. But if you want the same text to appear on all the slides, all you have to do is check this box here that says use first slide's caption as permanent caption. If that's checked, all of the slides will have the same caption, the same button, everything. I'm going to put an overlay on this slide. Same overlay, 0.3, and some black. And finally, maybe I want the rotation to wait 7 seconds instead of 5. Let's click save and preview. All right, and now if we go to the next slide, the text stays the same. But maybe we don't want that. Let's take this checkbox off and put something else on the other slide. Let's put a caption that says, "Isn't this neat? It's alive. Haha." And let's do center without frame, just as a reference point to see what would that look like. Now let's go to the next slide. And there it is, center without frame. That's pretty snazzy as well. Of course, maybe I should make that text a bit bigger, but I don't mind that one bit. If I wanted to add another image, I could click add single image or video, and that will add a blank slide that you can click and add your own. And click change image to swap it out. I could also copy and add the last entry, which will create a duplicate. That's nice if you maybe want the same image or some of the same text or the same sort of button formatting. And then we can change out the image. But I think I'm happy with just the 2 images. So I'm going to click the X to delete that. Now for this link, I just kind of want it to scroll down the page. So to do that, we'll put in pound next dash section. Next section. Save and save. And now when we click the button, it scrolls down the page, just like that. Pretty nice. Overall, I think this looks pretty great. So, now that I'm happy with those changes, I'm going to click Update and make that page live. Please do note that the images you use have to be 1500 pixels wide or a bit bigger than that. Otherwise, they might not show up the right size. Sometimes it will stretch them to be a lot taller than it should be, and it won't look very good. There are ways to do that, to crop images, or if you can't do that, just send the image to me and say, hey, can you crop this for me? And I'll process the image for you just fine. Thanks so much for watching. I've been Carter from Strategy Lab. If you have any questions or need help in the future, just send me an email.